keep your questions and comments brief, don't topic. Question. Remember the if you have any questions or comments, subject the agenda.
Committee members and planning.
Judith is excused. David Giordano.
Present.
Malik McCullough. Jennifer Meyer.
Present.
Nilsa Rama. Dawn Sanders. Anne Marie Vasquez.
Present.
Michelle Wilshire Clement.
Present.
We have quorum.
Thank you. So has everyone seen the agenda? The agenda is also on the table. You guys want to take a copy of it? Any objections to the agenda? We'll take that as the adoption of the agenda. We do not have minute meetings. I do apologize. I have 4-minute meetings, including today, which would be 5, that I will be giving to Angel end of this week before executive, and I'll also share it with you guys, so you guys can have it. Any announcements? Does anyone have any announcements? Awesome, we'll move forward. Any informational updates? Okay, we can move forward. All right, so we're gonna have a discussion and a vote on the response to the mayor's fiscal 2025 year preliminary budget. This is, we're gonna look at last year's, right?
No.
This is last year?
No, that's not, this is,
This year.
yeah, what you're looking at is not, those are the budget requests, that's not the preliminary statement. The statement is, on the screen. Is there any way we can get a printout of the statement?
Sure.
I do apologize.
No problem.
Oh, this is last year's. No, this is last year's.
Oh, wait,
Do you guys need Andrew, you gonna print out one for each?
I made a mistake and put it out last year's again.
I don't think there's a one for each.
No, just before I left, I printed this one out thinking that it was for this year.
So what you guys do have is a budget in front of you. The budget priorities and requests that we've made, that's what this big package is. Did you guys have a chance to review this in your committees?
Yes.
The budget request or the statement or both? Budget request? So you guys didn't go over you didn't go over the statement?
No, I redid the statement.
You redid the statement?
Yes.
Gotcha. And Echo Dev, only did this, you guys didn't go over the statement? Gotcha. And you said you guys have edits for the statement?
Yeah, we made edits to the statement, obviously.
We did this. And then we were to go online and add comments that we wanted
To the statement?
to change it, but we did not go over the statement. Saying that we were just going over.
Alright, Jennifer, you guys made statement directly to it? The changes, or did you
It's a separate
send-
document, but I think Marlene made that to the 2025 work draft document as well. But I'll double check to make sure everything.
I sent them this morning, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to keep the old one next to the new one, so that we sat there, compared together, but every time I did the cut and paste, it went blank. Certain things.
I went back and like changed it, one thing, it wouldn't let me back in.
Wanted somebody else.
Wonder if you guys, I wonder if I go down. You like sanitation, and small business services would be for you guys.
Well, I guess the first thing would be to get who made changes, and which committee did, so that at least we know.
Thank you.
Hey, you ain't doing.
Did every committee send in the changes to the statement?
No,
Yeah.
So we should only review the committees that have, because, right, or,
we're just reviewing what has been submitted, which is contained in that document.
that's what it's.
So Anne Marie, Echo met last night
Mhm.
and Echo went, actually, I was just getting your attention, but I was speaking to her. Echo met last night, so Anne Marie was gonna give us our stuff today. Every other committee just didn't submit anything. Every other committee that you don't see on that just didn't submit anything. So I sent you a note earlier. So it's housing, land use did not meet. Human services did not meet, but they did forward their information. It's contained in here under Department of Aging and the Department of Health. Public
Also, we
safety.
did, yeah, Jennifer said that they did.
Yep, yep, so we got it, and it's in here.
So it's just, housing,
Housing, public safety,
I will resubmit what I,
public safety, Michelle, so Michelle, right? Question, what is this whole French or
that's
Latin?
just space filling.
Ah, okay, I thought that was like another thing, I'm like,
It's code, it's code.
gotcha.
Yeah, that'll be like a general statement. I'll write that. That wasn't for the committee.
Understood,
Yeah.
understood, okay.
So, do you have your stuff? No? All right, so this is all we have. There's no point belabor.
Alright, so do you think,
Glad we split.
Echo Dev might have something?
So we're voting tomorrow because it has to be submitted. So we're already late.
Executive, right?
Yeah.
Executive is voting tomorrow.
So
I will
this-
definitely
so this
send
is-
it something.
Are you talking about what we said yesterday with the high level and what we were expanding? I think most of them were high level.
No, but that's not what the exercise was. It was like we're supposed to write something out and say, like, give an explanation, like it's written there. Like
I
corresponding,
was gonna reach out to the agency.
that's after. Yeah. That's after.
So from the request that we have, we kind of gather information that we wanna make sure that an agency will propose or push forward, right? So like, I don't know, like what's like a subject that's recurring in Echo Dev? From the budget, you could do that, exactly, from the budget stuff that you guys talked about, what was something that was like something you guys kept talking about, was reoccurring?
The, hold on. Definitely the theater, right? We talked about the theater, expanding the theater, fixing the infrastructure of the theaters in the neighborhood. We talked about. It was mostly theater and also
So-
helping the businesses.
So with the theater, that would be a response for the Department of Cultural
Mhm.
Affairs, right?
Yeah.
I guess if we could formulate something that's,
Join.
that you guys wanna push forward.
Yes.
I don't know if we have to, you have 2024. Does 2024 have anything for cultural?
So that's what we basically looking at the theaters.
And then the small businesses, you also have a section for Department of Small Businesses.
Mhm.
So if there's anything that you can use your request or anything that you guys wanna like push forward, like if there's any programs that you wanna make sure that small business services is continuing to fund or things of that nature, that's something that you can put into that. If that's something that you guys think you can do it as a. So this was last year's. Yeah, this was last year, and this is what they have for the Department of Cultural Affairs. That would be in Echo Dev, right? Adrian?
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be in Echo Dev. So that's kind of like an idea, so if you can get us something by tomorrow morning, that we can maybe add it to it. So we can have it for executive. And And then. Michelle, yes,
Well, for me, I wanted to make stronger, and I got permission to do so. Stronger language for parking permits for e-car before the central business district charges, which is the other name. We usually coined it as congestion pricing, but the technical name that the city has for it is central business district charges come into effect. Because that will alter our way of life into more of a hardship. And so I wanted to add that using the codes that we already have into the DOT code of 311-202509E. And so I have all the codes matching of what I want to put into it. And transform.
so how soon can you get that to us, the language, so that would, but is DOT, I don't see DOT as one of them, can we add it? Angel, we can add DOT, right,
Yes.
yeah, we can add DOT. PowerPoint.
So we're not rewriting budget requests. That's not what we're doing at this point, like this has been explained.
Yeah.
Right,
Should
we're,
just
we're,
using-
we're
using
making
the-
statements, right, like, so we have to have a statement, and the idea was to have it yesterday, so you guys could vote today. If you're gonna put it off to tomorrow, we have to have a statement, a paragraph, several paragraphs explaining what the positions are, not a reworded, budget request, right?
This was not in the budget request, originally. It was more like, oh, we wanna do the, have more funding for the survey to have the, parking permits. And this is more so saying, oh, forget the survey. For our.
So with the preliminary budget, what we're basically saying is, the mayor's saying, I'm gonna fund DOT this amount of money, and I'm gonna use this money, DOT has to use this amount of money. What we're doing from community board perspective is saying, if you're giving funding for this, or please increase funding for this, or please make sure that this funding is used for this and this and this. So that's kind of how we have to formulate that, am I incorrect, Angel?
No, that's right.
So that somehow, if you're gonna use DOT, it can't be, we don't like congestion prices, we don't want congestion prices, because that has nothing to do with the budget. That they're proposing.
If it's more so that we need to be able to have a better flow of traffic and it would more so be a mixture of the MTA.
So how is the mayor's budget gonna, like, impact that?
The mayor's budget by not funding, parking permits would increase just a parking lot.
So you wanna say,
To
part of the permit-
eliminate a parking lot is not developing in East Harlem.
so if I understand
You
this,
need
so if I understand you correctly, as community board 11 members, we are asking that the budget of DOT be used to include a study or
Not a
to,
good study.
be used
To be
for
used
residential parking.
residential parking permit program. Not to a study, because studies have already been done in.
Gotcha, okay, not a study, you want you want the budget to be used, you want a certain portion of the budget to be earmarked for residential parking. Can we put that in the
Of
statement?
course, it'd be a nicer.
Can that be a response in the statement?
No, it isn't a response, it's a request. So like the mayor put out a budget and we're responding to what he put out. Like, so I'll give an example, that I shared last night at Echo Dev. But the libraries, right? And I put it within the context of the mayor has been speaking for the last year that we're in a recession, right? And based on that claim, he instituted a number of pegs at all the agencies, right? That they had to cut their funding, they had to cut their program, they had to cut their staff levels because of this anticipated recession that never came. And what's been borne out recently is that In fact, we, not only are we not in a recession, we actually had a surplus, right? This is what the council's been barking at him about the last month. So as this relates to the Economic Development Committee and libraries, one of the things that got a lot of attention was they eliminated Sunday service based on this claim that they didn't have enough money. Well, lo and behold, they do have the money. So we would say in that instance that, you know, funds we would repeat our ask for 7-day service and emphasize that there is money in the budget, you know, that there is money, that the city does have the revenue to be able to fund 7-day service. So that's what we would say, because he's claiming in his preliminary budget that they don't have the money.
Right.
So like that.
And to add,
And then I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think public safety asked for a parking thing before.
Yeah,
So is it in this year's or was it removed?
it is in this year's.
what's the last 4 digits?
Well,
It's an expense request, right?
31, oh, the last 4 digits are 5090.
Oh, man.
That makes sense, yeah.
Number 14. Or page 12.
Okay, so request number 9. Right, so for this, they're saying the Borough Commissioner's Office has reviewed the request has been denied. And then for us to contact the BC's office, and this is something else I was explaining to at the committee last night, is that the responses that we're getting here, like there's more to the exercise that isn't necessarily the response to the preliminary budget. So this, each committee should take the responses that they got to its requests and contact the agencies and have a conversation in advance of formulating next year's budget request, right? So like, hey, Department of Small Business Services, we asked for this, you said no, you said maybe. You said yes, but I wanna know how and when. So then you would schedule a call with them and have that conversation before then. In some instances, it also says contact your elected official, so we would, you know, contact the corresponding elected official for that particular request, like if it's something, a capital project across the street, that's Diana's district, you call Diana, have a conversation with Diana, hey, you know, can we, you know, count with your support on funding this thing across the street? Right, so like that's a conversation, so it's all part of the larger conversation, but not necessarily something included in the response to the preliminary budget. Make sense?
Yes.
So like you could call tomorrow and call DOT, we need to schedule a call immediately to talk about your responses to these 5 requests that we made, we need clarification. And that's what we should be doing, right? Because just putting this aside for a second. So picture we're in September. And you're looking at which budget request to keep, and you're asking the question, why did they do this, why didn't they do it? But we don't know because we didn't get to speak to them. But if we try now to speak to them, then we'll have an answer, so that we're not asking that question in September.
But when they say partially funded.
Yeah,
Which part?
Exactly.
And how much?
so that question, ask that question now,
Right.
and they can say, actually, I could do 1, 2, 3, but I can't do 4, 5, 6 until next fiscal, right, that kind of.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I just want to understand, because it's the first time I'm really being part of this committee. At this point, we have to go before the full board with the statement of district needs approved or.
Now, what the statement of district means, the response to the preliminary budget.
Right.
Right, it's all part of one big mess, but these are like different pieces of the big mess, right? So at this point, in January, the mayor issues his preliminary budget, it gets sent out to everyone. And this is saying, well, you know, this is us saying, and all the council members and everybody else that gets it sent to them. Saying, we read your, you know, proposal, we agree, disagree with this, that, or the other thing, and then you submit that to them for their consideration in advance of the hearings that are gonna be happening in February and March on the preliminary. So that's what this exercise is. And since we just submitted our budget request in October, you know, we would reference that, you know, and saying like this, you know, like, we feel this about your proposal. And as you see here, this is something we feel strongly about. We really think you should be funding this.
Do we have any word on housing if they're gonna provide anything?
No, they have not.
Right, so I guess, for now. we'll vote on what we have. And then if anything comes in, it'll be voted in executive.
Yes, tomorrow.
Alright, everyone has a copy. You guys want me to read it out loud? You wanna read it to yourself? How do you want me to do this?
How about we all just take a part and read it out loud? So you remember.
Sure, that sounds like a plan.
Definitely, Beverly Pabon has a question.
Excuse me? I'm sorry.
Beverly is on and she has a question.
Oh, sure, Beverly.
Good evening, everyone. My question, I just heard that Angel said housing didn't make a statement at the executive meeting tomorrow. Could we ask for anything to be added to the housing part? Or is that just done by the chair and the vice chair? Because I'm neither one of those.
That's okay. I'll give it time. It should be done through the chair and the vice chair. And
Okay.
I was explaining to the members here this evening, it should be, you know, a narrative, an explanation, a paragraph. Not like, I got what you sent, it was like restating the till request, like that's the
Right.
list, you know, but we're not redoing, like, if you had something to support that till request, right, an explanation, then we can add that. Make sense?
Okay, if I had something to support my change or the request
No,
for it.
we're not changing budget requests at this time. The budget request stands.
Right,
as
right,
over. At
right.
this, what the board is supposed to be doing is speaking to the mayor's preliminary budget. If there is a point in one of our budget requests that we want to, what was the word that Giselle used last night, elevate, right, emphasize. Then we can do that. So if there's something that you wanted to add in making the case for that till request or any other request, that can be
Mhm.
submitted. I'll just say to you and to everybody else, we were hoping to have this ahead of time so people could read it and not just be.
Right, right, right.
Like tomorrow's agenda is gonna be even more packed. This is not to dissuade you, but if you could have something sent out in the morning, then we can shoot it to the members and hope they read it before their meeting tomorrow. That'll be helpful.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Beth.
So to
I'm sorry.
no, can I ask? So to be clear, because I'm kind of lost. Because what we doing yesterday was going through this, not this. So I have to give you a statement for the Department of Cultural Affairs and for the small business regarding what we went through yesterday, correct?
It doesn't have to be all, it's just whichever one like comes up in your, in your, committee. So in your committee, it would be the small business services, economic development, DDC, the economic development corporation, but you guys have a lot to talk on that. Because I'm not getting on everything, and cultural affairs.
So the committee did last night, remember, we focused most of the conversation on a couple, and remember we mentioned the ones where the agency said, you know, we're gonna try to accommodate this within existing resources. The committee was gonna make, they were like, okay, that's fine, and then they just focused their attention on a certain few. So the Julia ask, the library ask, and I'm getting fuzzy, but there was another thing. So then you can just focus on those 2 or 3 things and look at last year, to look at what like the human services folks said and get an idea of what it is. It doesn't have to be a.
Okay.
It's a
I
paragraph or a
understand
couple
that.
sentences, yeah.
Sorry.
No, they're fine.
You said the Julia asked,
Yeah.
Julia, library,
Definitely the library, but that
Library,
was
yeah.
absolute nonsense. If
there
I
was
can,
something else.
if I can find. Sorry, I'll scroll through, see what might be helpful. The expense ones are all the way at the end. Or, so there was the pier, so 18 Capital, the pier on 107th Street, they spoke about that for a while, so page 257 requests 17 Capital and 18 Capital, they spoke about that a bit. I believe I'm right about that, and then. The hub things are stupid requests, when I get that's already funded, no point spending ink on that. We just have to wait for the MTA to finish their project. Salary and scrolling. Source. The library is page 265, request 13 expense. So like there, the focus would be like push for the, how do they refer to it? Reinstating expense funding for capital, reinstating expense and capital funding for libraries. All right, in this instance, expense, it's expense. Just a side note. Our local libraries are already getting completely renovated, so we don't need to make any more capital requests, like they're doing it. So our focus this year and last year, I think you'll remember, has been more on the programming and the expense stuff.
Right.
Yeah, like 125 is gonna be completely new, and ELAR is gonna be like 50% new. Pretty cool. Yeah, I won't do that. Sorry, I'm going as fast as I can. Yeah, then the last page, no, you know. Yeah, the last 5 requests are echo requests, and they're mostly accommodate with existing resources, except for 37E, where they say further study by the agency is requested. So that's one of the ones that, you know, when we make the call and we schedule the meeting, we'll talk about with them, just flesh out and get because that's a BS answer. Yeah, so
So,
It's amazing parks that we.
So like 11C, which is a public safety. Not so much for the response, but definitely for the follow-up call. Like getting from them, like they say that they're doing a citywide renovation project in progress. We should be asking in that conversation, which, you know, if our local prisons are included. And we have 3 houses, so 2, 3, 2, 5, and PSA 5. It says 2, 5 is included, we should ask about PSA 5 and 2, 3.
I'm sorry, I did not see where that one is.
It's page 254, it's request 11,
254.
yeah.
254, okay.
It's the request 11 capital.
we should have the 23 and PSA 5.
Yeah.
That's what I had, in my response.
So do we, like, contact school construction, right?
Yeah. Please contact the agency directly. Same thing as for that follow-up call, on page 263, Michelle, for 5 expense, that should be in that call as well. Well, that's kind of a punt, and there's no point making you wait till September to get some clarity. Police department. What's this one? Medicaid. Resources. Yeah, so what I was saying to these guys last night is, when you see it says, will accommodate with existing resources. It's essentially a yes, it's definitely not a no. They'll tell you no when they're not gonna do it. They'll say, we don't have anything.
This is not true. The upgrade for the pump.
And then one additional thing is this is meant to be a frustrating document. Right,
Yeah.
every year, it's just what it is, right? So you try to pick out like little pearls when you can. The trick is reading the preliminary budget, which is 7,000 pages, which is unfair. But sometimes the press does a really good job, right? Like, so I remember since forever, the day after the budget's released, they'll come up with the infographic, you know, the budget's been cut this much and police goes up this much. That helps when you kind of start get a basic idea, and then you start jumping in, you know, with the official documents to get the finer detail, right? Like go into the, you know, that Schedule C nonsense. The mayor's management report is really helpful, but before you even get to those things that are a little deeper and deeper, just the press kind of helps, you know, get you somewhere, right? So if you're if you're the schools, right? And they're saying, no, not schools, youth and ed. If you're youth and ed and you're reading that funding for universal pre 3K is being cut or not being allocated, that's something you're gonna see that in the press, because people are gonna freak out. So then you jump into, like you pick those, like make your notes, and then you just jump into the or part of the waters, from there, as opposed to needing to read all 7,000 pages, which you're welcome to, but nobody does. So like, I wouldn't, tell you to, because it's kind of crazy. Like, so that's a little.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. I was trying to read I was really the.
They have teams dissecting.
Yeah, and so like last night, if we would have had Echo and I wouldn't have printed this, we wouldn't have all been just staring at each other. Or like this starts the conversation, you're like, oh yeah, we got this, we didn't get that, and then idea starts coming out. But like it's almost like a prompt.
So,
May I ask a question, Brian? I see here that a lot of the numbers are not the numbers of last year's numbers, aren't they? On
So, no, these are
you're talking about, you're
updated.
talking about the statement, or you're talking about?
tracking
I'm
numbers?
talking about the,
She's talking about the statement.
the statement for 2025 preliminary budget
Alright, so let me see.
has like 2024.
Those need to be updated.
Okay, I just wanted to make note of that.
Those were done incorrect.
Gotcha.
Thank you for catching that, I'll fix that.
Yeah, I think you just carried the
And
ones over
community
from last time,
development has to
right?
be
Because we
updated.
didn't have this. Okay.
Correct.
Using.
I will update all of those.
Department of Youth and Community Development has the updated numbers.
Okay.
Some of them do,
Yeah, I'll go over them.
Department of Sanitation has the updated numbers. As well as Department of Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, I'm glad we
Our
separated
Department of
DOE
Health
and
and
DYCD, because we were putting it all. in
Dental
DOE.
Hygiene.
That means you might not went to the right place, right? Well, what I thought was the agency responsible for DOE for the facility. Well, we don't operate that playground here. Says Parks doesn't.
Oh,
So,
for the joint ones.
yeah. So who operates it? It's just DOE then? Maybe that's something we
It's
need to
supposed
find
be-
out.
It's supposed to be both,
That's what I thought.
yeah. It's the school until 3 and then the parks.
Who put in the Department of Sanitation? That was really good. Who put that in?
Department of Sanitation is the Environment, Open Space and Parks, so that's Jessica Elliott and Malik. Good fellow.
Yeah, and Malik did say Jessica.
So. Have you guys had a chance to look over this? Cause we're gonna vote on what we have now, and then whatever is brought in tomorrow morning will be voted in an executive. Wait, we don't have time to review it, right? Or will it be sent to us to review? But it doesn't matter what we say.
It'll be-
It needs to voted on in
The
executive.
sooner I have it, the sooner I'll send it to the committee. So if I have it first thing in the morning, then I can email it to them.
But if you
Try
get
to
to
do
the
the-
6:20.
Try to do the best I can when but the clock keeps ticking, like if I get it at 6:25, it's not helpful to anybody. They'll just be sitting here reading through it.
I'll get it to you in the morning.
Call me in the morning, well, I won't be here, but you can, yeah, call me, I'll help you with it. I won't be here, but I'll be on.
That was my only thing about this, was the numbers, some of the numbers need to be changed.
So then I'm gonna take a stab at housing. So you have to have a response for housing. Do I share that with John and who's the VP, John?
Dawn,
Share with John and.
yeah, you can, send it to them and copy me and Marlon. So let's, I'll make a suggestion, what about we punch for tonight? And the remaining stuff has to be to me by noon tomorrow, or it's not included. Is that agreeable to you?
That's good.
What stuff is missing exactly?
Housing, which is like HPD, Housing Authority.
Right.
But which committees? Because those,
That's
you have to reach out to the chair.
That's housing. Public safety, which is NYPD, MTA,
Echo.
DOT,
And land use.
and
I'm
like,
help, I'm Marie with that.
and then Echo Dev.
Those half.
Yeah, and land use is pretty much housing.
So you
Land
need,
use always has two, you can strike it. They only ever have two requests and it's the same ones and those never move.
so.
It's build more housing, build more
For
affordable housing
Echo Dev?
forever, amen.
For Echo
That's-
Dev, I have the
that's
department.
it.
That's
Cultural
done,
affairs,
Yes,
PC,
keep
and
it, keep doing it.
Economic, it's the.
Oh, right here.
Towards
Yeah.
the end, yeah.
Okay.
I tried to.
So, culture affairs, business and EDC.
And libraries.
And library was,
Yeah.
right?
Department for Aging came from Human Services,
Human
right?
services,
Thank you.
yeah, Isaac and,
Jennifer, thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate you guys. Oh, and small business services.
Okay.
All right, so we are agreeing to punt this for tomorrow morning. Anyone who is missing from the three committees that we know of, that we can remind them to put in stuff, we will let them know. Or is it just two committees, right? Land use and
it's,
housing?
housing, public safety, yeah.
Yeah, no, public safety is here. And Echo Dev is here. It's land use and,
The land use, don't worry.
so it's just housing that we kind of have to put some more.
It's just public
see what they
safety.
say. All right, cool. That's good with you guys? We'll see each other via email tomorrow. What's next on our deck?
Sorry.
Yeah. Right, we have your.
Say now the sausages, man. Old business.
No old business. Any new business? Good.
So, maybe I should share this from yesterday. I'll try to go from memory. So yesterday at Echo, we shared a note that we got from the MTA. So this isn't a district needs necessarily thing, but it's a community thing. The Second Avenue Subway project is gonna start in, like for real now. So like the long nightmare is gonna start. So the MTA has notified business owners along a stretch of Second Avenue, if memory is serving me correctly, from 104th to 112th Street to remove all their sidewalk and street shed things, sheds, structures. Because the MTA needs the area clear, because they're going to start utility work in the area. That's like digging up and moving the utility lines out of the way. So I think it was 7 different restaurants were impacted and they listed them off. I can't remember all of them. So I know Cascalote, because I ate there, and Ricardo's is on it, and then the rest of them I don't remember. But it's listed in the minutes for last night's Echo meeting. And in the presentation. So like, it's starting in earnest.
What do they anticipate, like, that first day? Like, remove my things I won't have made a summer.
Yeah, like when is it?
It has to be, everything has to be removed by March 8th.
Whoa,
Whoa.
Yeah,
that's 2 weeks.
They should do it in the morning.
so I notified them early. I just shared the note yesterday. All of them were notified.
I'm sorry.
They're on March 9th doing work.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's sheds even that are on the sidewalk, so,
And
Yeah.
everything off the sidewalk and everything off the street.
but if they're doing utility work, aren't they doing utility
The
work?
whole street's gonna get ripped up. And needed the sidewalk clear for people to.
Like they did
For them
below
to stage,
96,
partially stage on the sidewalk and for pedestrian access.
like they did below 96.
Dude, yeah. it's-
Did any of the restaurants like reach out to us?
No, I haven't heard from anyone yet.
When did they get noticed? Like,
So it was sent last week of January. I just shared the note yesterday because it was my first Echo meeting.
so at least they have
Yes,
Gonna
yeah,
have
they-
6
they-
weeks.
So that means they're not even gonna get to use it for the summer. That's-
No, they're out with the open dining for,
Yeah, that's the
10 years.
That's how you make money is.
10 years.
well,
That's how long is
they
it?
said that the first one was 10 years.
Yeah, wow.
And what they've been presenting to us for a couple of years is like, like they're expedited and supposedly doing everything faster now. They're saying 7 to 8 years, but
10
we'll,
years.
we'll,
7 to 8
we'll
years.
talk in 10 years and see if it actually happened.
The problem is that also what happens is when they start moving these things, the utility companies are like, well, we need this new, we need that new, so that's another extra cost on that, like. Once you start moving the lines, they're like, oh, you can't just move any of
Yeah,
them. Now we
wires
cover
are interesting. Right,
Yeah,
Alright,
that's great.
all those
So-
places are gonna, all those people are gonna wanna park in the neighborhood.
Good luck, roll call.
Yeah, I forgot about the party. Stephanie, committee members, when I call your name, please answer, President. Oh, and for the record, Nelson did join, earlier, so she's been on.
Thank you, Nelson.
Stephanie Arroyo,
Here,
Judith is excused, David Giordano.
present.
Malik McCullough, Jennifer Meyer.
Here.
Nelson Rama. Dawn Sanders. Anne Marie Vasquez. And Michelle Wiltshire Clement.
present.
We have quorum.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. And now we have work to do.
Sorry.
Okay.